I do not implement Jira the same way that Atlassian Solution Partners normally do. Now, this video is not to throw shade at partners, the partner program, at Atlassian, none of that, right? It's not to criticize anyone. It's really to explain why Grid.io, my company, myself, my team, and what we do, why we're not solutions partners. And really, there's two really big things here. Number one is that there's kind of just no benefit. And number two is that we do things a little bit differently and I would almost say unconventionally. Now, for the first one, there's really just no benefit. The primary benefit before was that you can resell Atlassian products, which you could still do. And you'd take roughly a 15% cut of anything that you sold to your customers, and you'd keep that 15%, and that would be a nice bottom line to your organization. So cool benefit, it was great. In the past year, Atlassian's pretty much cut this out, and it's roughly at 5%, which is still something, right? But for maybe a slightly smaller company like us, it's not very much. So the big reason that most people became partners, which was to resell licenses, is now sort of gone. There's two more big things that do matter. Number one is reputation. When you're a partner, you have some general kind of status with Atlassian. That being said, I've never had a client ask me if we're an Atlassian Solutions Partner. We've been happily referring Solutions Partners to our clients if they do want reselling or to just go direct with Atlassian. But the kind of notion that you have to be a partner to have some kind of reputation, I just haven't experienced that. So there's just no reason for us to go down that rabbit hole because no clients ever asked us. So the reselling is gone, essentially. The status of being a partner is mostly a myth. And then number three is that, at least previously, or I think to a degree, Atlassian will actually send you leads of companies and organizations that are interested in services. Now, I've talked to a few partners, and these leads are very, very minimal. Maybe unless you have a good reputation with the Atlassian team and you've known them for a while, or you know someone there in particular. But from the partners that I've talked to that are kind of on the more SMB or mid-market level, they get maybe a couple leads a year that typically don't convert to anything. So big reason number one that we're not a partner is there, to be transparent, there's just no benefit, right? There's no reason we would go down the rabbit hole of becoming a partner and taking the time to do so. And weighing the pros and cons, it's just more of a pro for us to say no. Because when you're a partner, you're more restricted on what you could talk about, what you could say. I would say your incentives are less aligned with your clients and customers, which is not something we want to do either. Which brings me to number two, which is we do things a little bit differently. Now, we do things differently in three really big ways. Number one is that we don't really care for the typical Atlassian or Jira implementation consulting kind of engagement. We actually don't do that at all. If someone comes to us and says, hey, we're looking for a batch of hours or one-off consulting, we say no to that. We actually don't do it at all. We refer someone else. We say it's just not really how we work. The reason we say that is because we want to truly help and impact our clients. And if we cannot do a full discovery, requirements gathering, lay out a full plan and build POCs before ever touching a production environment and implementation, we will likely not have a very big impact on that particular client and customer. Now, this could be argued, right? It's just the way that we do things internally. It's the way that we've seen has really big impact, and what we've done in the past to make sure that there's no rebuilds, that what we build is actually long-term, is scalable, works well with the company as it grows. It's just what we've seen have the most impact to all of the teams that we've worked with. And that's why we do things that way. That can be argued, right? It's subjective. It's different for every company. But for us, we want to make sure we have the right impact for every company that we personally work with and touch. So all of our engagements start with what we call a Jira strategy. It's always a fixed price. And then we don't do anything in production until the Jira strategy is actually completed. So that's kind of the first big way that we do things a little bit differently. And again, we just literally turn down clients if they're wanting to go straight into implementation, if they want a batch of hours. We don't do any of that. We start with the strategy, we go into implementation, and then in some cases, we'll go into ongoing afterwards. Sometimes there's a strategy and then it's ongoing, but it does always include the strategy. So that's reason number one. Real quick, I've implemented Jira for over 200 companies. By far, the number one reason teams reach out to us is because they built what they thought was a great solution, only to realize that nobody actually ended up using it. And if that sounds familiar, that's exactly what we help you fix. And if you want help implementing Jira in a way that your team will actually use, hit the first link in the description below. Number two is that we wanted to make sure that our incentives were aligned with our clients. And if we were to become a partner, and I've heard a few stories, horror stories, about how clients came to us and they were like, man, we just worked with a partner and it felt like they were pushing us into products, enterprise plans, things that we didn't actually need. The reason they were doing this was obviously because when they push them into those different products and get them into higher tiers, higher payments, their cut is considerably bigger. We didn't want to do this. So we don't resell any Atlassian licenses. We don't have any incentive to make you pay more for Atlassian. In fact, we're on the opposite end of that, right? So if we can start an engagement, if we start a Jira strategy and an implementation, and we dive in, we're like, hey, we could actually save you $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 in license costs. That's going to reflect good on us, right? That's our incentive. We're not going to sell you on something that you don't necessarily need, and we're going to do our best to find workarounds, solutions, creative alternatives, approaches, whatever is going to be necessary for you to get the result and the outcome that you want without having to necessarily pay more. Now, do we recommend upgrading to like premium? Yeah, happens all the time, right? If you want plans views, that's a common one. If you're running automation limits and you need more, you probably have to upgrade to premium. If you want more permissions control, granularity, if you want SSO, you need guard. There are certain moments where we're like, hey, this is probably going to be your best course of action. But it's never our first approach. It's always something that we scope out and we give multiple options for. It's either, hey, we upgrade here, or we use this alternative or this option here. If you feel like this is worth the upgrade, if it's going to be worth your investment to purchase this, go to premium, use this product, then go for it, right? It's gonna pay for itself in the long run. If you don't feel like that's the case, here's the best alternative that we can present for you. So that's kind of the second thing that we really do differently. We want to make sure that we're aligned with all of the clients that we actually work with and make sure that everything we do is, our incentives are exactly the same with our clients. That's really big reason number two. Reason number three is pricing. We are very different from other partners in terms of pricing, right? I kind of already mentioned batched hours. A lot of other partners will do hourly work that's ongoing. They will oftentimes cap it at a certain time frame. We don't do any of that. We do everything at a fixed price. So if we come in and we do Jira strategy, that Jira strategy is going to be fixed price. If we go into implementation, we've scoped everything out on what that implementation will be from the Jira strategy. We give you that at a fixed price. And we don't have any time limits on how we work. So we will still have a time frame for like, here's the project, here's the deadline, here's the go live date, here's the hypercare. That's all standard. But we don't have a deadline where we're like, hey, hypercare's over. We've implemented this project, or we did the Jira strategy. We're not going to help you anymore. And I've heard a lot of nightmares and stories where companies work with clients and or partners work with clients, and they're like, hey, we've done everything that's on the SOW that's in scope. We can't do anything else. You're just gonna have to pay extra. It's gonna be hourly moving forward. We don't really like that. So we wanna make sure that when you do a Jira strategy with us, when you do an implementation with us, when you're doing any kind of ongoing work, that you're satisfied. That's our number one thing that we care about. And the way that we work is that if, let's say you do the Jira strategy with us, we don't end the engagement until you give us a thumbs up and you're like, this is awesome. This is exactly what we were looking for. Let's move forward. Let's do the implementation, or let's go ahead and wrap up the project here. We don't have any kind of hard deadlines on that. So if we build a few POCs, we do delivery, and you're looking at that and saying, yeah, it doesn't quite align with this particular team. It's not quite how they work. I think that needs to be a little bit different. We keep reworking and iterating until we get to a point where you're like, this is exactly what we expected. Thumbs up, this looks great. We could call it here. That's how we work. And it's all fixed price. Again, there's no deadlines. Like if sometimes projects last with the Jira strategy, typically they're 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes they'll go to 2 to 3 months. That's totally normal. We're totally okay with that. And we accept that because we want to make sure that our clients have the experience that we would want to have ourselves. So those are the 3 big reasons on why we're different than kind of other partners. And really it just boils down to, number 1, there is really no incentive to become a partner. The cons outweigh the pros in this case. And then the 3 big things that we do a little bit differently is that we price, fixed price, and we have satisfaction guarantees on literally everything that we do. We also don't push you into products or don't resell products like other partners do. It's just a little bit different. And we want to stay that way because we align with what our clients are aligned on. And number 3 is that we always do the Jira strategy, and it's always a kind of preface for any engagement that we run. So those are the big things that we do a little bit differently and why we're not a partner today. Again, that being said, there's probably really great partners out there that you can work with. There's a few I've worked with personally that do a phenomenal job, and they're great people. They provide great services. You know, if you find that, or if you found that, stick with them. If you're looking for something new, we'd be happy to explore what a Jira strategy may look like for you. So that's going to be in the link in the description. Just hit that link, reach out to myself, my team, and we'll chat and see if you'd be a good fit to work with us.